Your job title will not save you from AI, and that is the reality today.
You cannot compete with AI, period. You cannot. Things are moving so fast. Between leaps of progress, you had 7 years in between, but now it's more like days or weeks in between. I check what's going on every single day. Even I feel like I'm behind. You probably don't even realize what you don't know that is now possible to do. Forget certificates, they are worthless. If you are holding AI back from your organization because you are afraid to be replaced, you are making a mistake. Look at the ways to automate your own job. The sooner you do it, the better for you.
What do you think about when it comes to career advancements?
I think most importantly,
Your job title will not save you from AI, and that is the reality today. You're with Lewis and Niharika at another episode of The Future Outlook. What do you think, Lewis? Is AI changing how the job titles are looking today?
I think most importantly, it will redefine what the role is in the first place, right? Because in all tiers of the hierarchy of an organization, AI is being implemented in different ways. Managers are getting more information, better tracking, more power to make decisions that are based on what's actually happening on the ground, at least for those organizations that are implementing AI right now, in the sense of understanding what's going on. And you can really plug AI into your data and it can crunch that super fast and tell you things that perhaps you were overlooking, right? So that's probably one of the most important things happening at a higher level in organizations, while on the lower level, mostly every kind of task is being automated or is being attempted to be automated. And this morning, actually, I was reading a post by someone I actually really like the content from, Linus, and he was mentioning that the study was done in the United States where it says that the organizations that are implementing AI, not only faster but better, are actually increasing the headcount on the organization. So it's going the other way that you would expect, right? So organizations that are implementing AI and are doing that in the different layers of the organization are growing faster. As they grow, the number of positions actually open, and they are expanding jobs rather than contracting jobs. That was, for me, was very surprising because you would expect the other way. So what I would expect is that the roles are being redefined, and where you'd spend a lot of your resources in the lower part of the operations to have let's say humans doing all that work manually, now that being automated, it releases a lot of time for growth, and that growth requires a different kind of skill. So today, one thing I would propose we talk about is how how AI will change roles and how you survive that and how you reposition your career in order to survive that. So based on that, what would you say that marketing managers, let's start with there, like how do marketing managers redefine their position and their role in order to survive this next AI wave?
To me, this question will always remain like, as I was growing in my career, I realized something that marketing was it's a field where people think one person can do everything. And it's not, because today we have AI. Today we have AI, so yes, I can actually do a lot of things. But there was a point in my career where I was looking at job posts and I would see that, one role for CRM, one role for email marketing, like one single role asking for everything, right? Where you would also be expected to do design work probably here and there, or you would be expected to probably also film content, right? And as I grew in my position, I realized that that should not have been the case. And I'm talking about probably like 3 years ago, right? Not today. Today we are in a much more advanced position when it comes to any role whatsoever, right? But it's very funny that, in that stage also, people expected one person could do so many different things, right? And I think what I took on myself as someone who really wanted to be a leader in this role, first, of course, like, I wanted to understand where is it that I needed to be like, where is my decision making, right? What is it that I am doing actually defines the marketing output? And I realized that it's all data. If I learn how to read data, if I learn how to understand my audience, if I learn what is it that the product, here is a product A, right? And I want to sell that to you. What is the persona that my audience or my customer has? And when I was trying to understand all of these things, I realized that marketing at the end of the day is not as much psychology as we used to think. It's more data interpretation. It's trying to, like, do the numbers while you're also looking at beautiful stuff, which is your creatives, doing pop-ups and this and that, right? And today with AI, the good thing is it's much more easier for me as a marketer to be able to do all of those things, where if you give me a creative, I can have AI fix it for me. So that sort of like reduces, we used to spend ages trying to get one creative to get fixed. Today it's much faster because we can use the AI to help us fix that, or use AI to interpret data, which would otherwise also take us ages to get together, right? But of course, sometimes I do think about, for example, what we do unknowingly is probably take all the confidential data from the company and just dump it on the AI, right? So I don't think, if we're actually solving something here by doing that, for, of course, we're solving it for ourselves, but, I don't know on the longer run how safe that could be. But I'm sure, like, Chat GPTs has, like, the GPTs have all their safety measures and everything. But what I'm trying to say is that AI has absolutely changed how I look at marketing today, right? I can be doing 5 case studies in one go and trying to understand who my customer is or what's the persona of my customer, just because I have AI today. And it has made me a lot, it has given me a lot of freedom that I actually give it credit for, but it has given me a lot of freedom. It just allows me to be faster, quicker. And I know faster and quicker are synonyms. I'm just trying to say that it has made my life easier when it comes to making decisions, trying to get an entire ecosystem out. Like, for example, if I'm trying to build something, it's much easier for me to be the strategy behind it, build the strategy behind it, and also then be able to execute it, which I think earlier took a lot of time to be able to do that. You needed more people to be able to do that. I think today, with you, for example, with the organization that we have, we can make decisions faster. We are discussing something, we can implement it within the same day, right? Sometimes when I come to you and I tell you, oh, everything is done, and you're like, wow, we have such a, a nice team. We do not have to, like, that's because we have a lot of tools now. And, of course, our organization allows us for us to have those tools, which I think is something that all the organizations should be doing as well, looking at what tools work, what tools make your team work faster, because you're not just saving on resources, but you're also saving time here. And I think that becomes very important when you're trying to run a business in the world that we are in, which is too fast paced for us. So, like, what do you think about, like, where we are headed when it comes to career advancements?
So, you touch base in a few different points there. I'll start with one, which is a bit the off-topic one, because I thought that you touched a really important point, which is sovereign AI, right? You said confidential data being sent to an AI, which servers sit in a different country, which may have this or that kind of an interest. So, I had a conversation with a really interesting conversation recently with people in government, where they are obviously implementing AI into their systems and so forth. And part of the conversation was running sovereign AI. And sovereign AI means what? Means instead of you sending your data to a third-party AI that is sitting in a server in a cloud in the site, let's say in the United States of America, the likes of Anthropic with Claude, or the likes of ChatGPT with OpenAI, whatever being the case, that you can actually right now, the local models, or in this case, imagine having your own ChatGPT running from a local server. This is already, the AI systems have been optimized to the point that you can actually run Opus level systems locally. And that means that the data never leaves your building. So if you are, let's say, if you are in a highly regulated kind of industry, as an example, let's say the likes of biotech or the likes of certain levels of finance or defense, as an example, then you'd want to run your local language models that are as maybe not the cutting edge or the frontier models to the point of Fable, for example, but close enough so that for certain types of things, you can actually run your intelligence from your own hardware and allowing the data to never leaving the building.
Wow.
So that is certainly something that is being discussed at higher levels, at government levels, and in certain very sensitive kinds of industries, let's say defense, or biotech, or certain levels of research and development. And that I think something that is really interesting for conversation. And I was benchmarking GLM, which is again a new model, local model, or it can also be run from the cloud. But it has Opus level kind of benchmarks. But obviously the hardware to run it is expensive. I was looking at the rig that you need to run that thing. It probably costs you around 150,000 dirhams of hardware just to be able to run that locally. But still, it is a one-time investment that you can then connect local via API, local API, to your systems and to your workflows, and you can retain the data in your building. So that's another conversation for another day. I'm sorry that I had this little detour. That's a very interesting topic. Moving back to how this career repositioning works, obviously we are in an organization that from the top leadership, it's AI first, right? And it's been a pleasure to be part of such an organization that not only motivates everyone to use it, but actually demands that to be the case. So in the last 6 months, we have accelerated massively the adoption across the different layers of the organization of AI systems. We have replaced certain legacy systems with more AI-enabled systems. We might not even be yet at the level of agentic AI in certain cases, and we are just basically at that phase of transition of hard workflows into AI-enabled workflows. Obviously, the next step will be agentic workflows. But to the point is that our performance have massively growth. The way we can deliver things and how fast we can deliver and iterate things is unmatched.
Yes.
Our competition is obviously struggling to keep up, and that is something that every organization should be looking at. So if you are a leader in an organization and you are stuck on your routine, you're stuck on your processes, I think it's time for you to take a stop, look at what you are doing, identify where AI would come in hand, find a consultant that can advise you on where to improve or introduce AI into your workflows, because that may be the difference between becoming competitive or keeping your competitive edge or losing it entirely to someone else coming in. So I was also looking at the post that a founder launched a new application which is about research documents and everything else. And his post was very interesting because he said, I'm done building stuff because my competitor launched, in this competitor in fact was Anthropic, launched the very next day the exact same system that obviously cannot compete against,
of course,
because this is the maker of the AI itself. So it is very, very difficult for creators to keep their edge. So if that's the case, then, and you are running an organization, what does that mean for your industry? So you need absolutely to be looking at that right now. If you are a leader in those organizations, you need to be the one bringing AI, not refusing AI, not rejecting AI, not competing with AI. You cannot compete with AI, period. You cannot. What you can is you can leverage, and you should be leveraging as much as you possibly can. But it is difficult for someone to understand where AI can actually change things for you unless and until you actually have a good understanding what it can do. And then you can start thinking about use cases on your organization. So you really need to start moving into more into hands-on kind of an experience. You forget about getting a one of the big four to send you a consultant. That won't work. You also need to understand yourself so that the conversation between you and the consultant will actually produce result. And for that, you actually need to be hands-on. As an example, if you have not used Cloud Cowork, you have to do it today. It's extremely easy to do. You install it in your computer. It has access to your files. Sure, it is in certain industries you cannot really do it. For example, if you're in biotech, the policies you're not allowed to do so. But let's say you are not in a regulated industry and you can actually install Cloud Cowork. You need to learn how to use connectors and plugins, how you can connect to the tools you already use or tools that you didn't use before because they were too technical.
That now becomes
Available to you. So how you learn how to use those things, and that is, I would say, the challenge. I would say for any of our viewers that if you have not tried Cloud Cowork, that should be your homework today, is to install it to see what it can do. It's no longer something that you ask a question and replies. It doesn't work like that. You give it a goal.
And it achieves that. Yeah.
Exactly. Give it a goal, organize a plan to achieve that goal, and let it give you the work to achieve that goal.
Yeah.
Autonomously. And that is exactly what it can do. Because until recently, let's say until end of last year, until OpenClaw came about, the work was you ask a question, it gives you an answer. It couldn't connect to tools as much. It could not really connect to your data as much. And it was limited. It could tell you how to build it, but you had to do the work yourself. Since then, the last 6 months has been the case where you tell what you want it to do, and it builds it for you. Now, more recently, you get more advanced stuff like loops or loops of loops. What does that mean? It means that the AI is not only building, it's iterating itself, is reviewing itself, is building the next version itself. So it is actually what I believe the likes of Anthropic is doing for the next version of AI, is having AI building the next version of AI in loops. So that is something that you can actually do right now, as an example. I'll give you an example of something I've actually started to work on last night, of building a game. I also have that kind of background of building a game that I've been in my mind for the longest time, and Fable can actually almost one-shot it. And I was extremely impressed because I was asking it, so obviously how are you going to code this? In what language are you going to code this? And how are you going to make the physics of it? And how are you going to create the assets of the game, right? The elements of the game, the design of the game. And as a response to my ask, it gave me a working module of a 3D game, and I was blown away. From someone that had to use Unreal Engine, for example, to build virtual worlds and to Blender to create 3D models, to go from that to one single shot game creation, which is probably one of the most complex types of software you can build, it is absolutely mind-blowing. Absolutely mind-blowing. So you can actually have it built by creating loops of itself, so it can keep planning, iterating, building, testing,
and then changing it.
And then changing itself, and next version. Obviously, this will consume a significant amount of tokens, right? And you need to be careful as well about the value of what you're building. Because at the end of the day, many organizations are actually going back in AI adoption because they put as benchmarks that you have to use AI and leave the board that who's using AI most, but without actually creating something valuable. You need to understand if the cost of using AI to build something is worth the return on investment. Because otherwise, you see a lot of people saying, well, I don't use Notion, I build my own, but then they spend $2,000 building their own when they could pay $10 a subscription.
Because now that you say this, I was reading this post, and this guy, he created something, like it was a tool that he created, but what he did not realize is he had put everybody's credit card information when he was creating those checkpoints for his, probably someone for his organization. And what happened was, each and every point, those credit cards got charged. And he was like, oh, I did not realize that that could happen. So it becomes very, I think AI is good. You really need to learn more about the correct usage, and also very important to learn about the tokens, very important to learn about where you will get charged, how much will you get charged, because this is not no longer like a game where you're just playing the plug and play game just because you're enjoying it. You like that someone is doing your tasks or something like that. You just need to be more intelligent about your use cases. Sometimes when I'm using Claude, I sometimes have to go back and see which version I'm using so that I do not end up using too many tokens.
And not only that, you bring something very interesting as well, which is the security level of things. So something that actually happened to us was that one of our team members, when building an application, mistakenly put the well, he did not realize because it was vibe coded, right? But it put the API key of OpenAI into the front end itself. So someone actually was able to grab that token and consume our tokens and our credits and steal that until we found out. Fortunately, we found out soon enough, but still we had spent thousands of dollars in it.
I'm sure.
So you even when you vibe coding it, you need to have at least enough of information of how to do it properly to protect the security of the application or the system that you're building, because especially if you're handling payments, first of all, you should never ever, when you vibe coding an application, store in your database the credit card information of clients. I would recommend that you use a third-party payment processor, even if that costs you 2 or 3% of fee, because you are not prepared to handle the security that is required of such types of payment. Mm-hmm. So the way you should do it is using a third party. You send the client to the third party automatically. This is something, let's say Stripe or something like that. And you can actually be able to have a little bit more security in that matter. But even then, if you are not properly securing your application, someone a bit more savvy will be able to activate a lifetime subscription of your system without even realizing it, without paying, right? Or paying the monthly fee and extending it to an annual because there's something on the code that it can leverage. So vibe coding, it looks easy. It is easy. You can build something quite fast, but it does not mean that it's production ready. It does not mean that you can actually launch it to the world, because there will be many things that you are exposed to that you need to be mindful. Yeah. So, for example, if you are a product builder and this is your first, let's say you don't have really development experience, before you launch your product, you should bring on board a consultant to help you secure the application properly, to test all vulnerabilities and so forth, and plug it in before you move on. And even run loops of AI on your own application to find and fix vulnerabilities, which is something we do, right? So Fable is particularly good in doing that, probably better than any consultant. But even then, you need to know what to ask. And that's the part where the consultant might be more prepared to do that, which is to know what to ask, what to look for, what to direct the AI to do. And this is I think the most important thing as a key takeaway of today's podcast, which is you have to direct AI. The skill behind the direction is what makes the difference moving forward between a great professional and an average professional. Between an ordinary professional and an extraordinary professional is the ability to direct the AI to know what to aim for and how to set the goals and how to set the plan to achieve those goals. And this is something that it is still human. It will remain human for at least for a significant amount of time, I believe. Even if we, obviously, when we get to super intelligence, then that's off the table. Once we achieve super intelligence, obviously, I don't know, no one really knows what will happen after that point in time. No one can really peek beyond the veil because we don't understand. Our human capability does not go beyond that point. But that being said, even with AGI, which I believe maybe already achieved it with the likes of Fable and Mythos level LLMs, we will be able to have the most intelligent person, which is not a person, I know, but let's say you have the biggest intelligence possible in the world sitting next to you, but it still depends on what you want and how you direct it to achieve the goals. So even if you give the same intelligence to two different people, two different managers, two different experts, the results and the organizational results will be massively different between one and the other. It really depends on who's directing it.
My partner kept pushing for AI for God knows how long, and I kept pushing back because to me, I believe that no matter how much AI is there everywhere, it cannot change how marketing looks, how we send out our messaging or how we do the creatives. But boy, was I wrong. So, and today, I see him and then I see myself and I'm like, okay, you are way ahead of me. So I need to I am playing catch up right now. And I'm really glad that I have you as my mentor, to learn through what different things are happening in AI and learn through a lot of things that with you, I get to understand faster as well. So yeah, that has literally saved me. And I'm not kidding. But yeah, I think, through this podcast, what we're trying to also do is for people who do not have the same mentor as I do, we're just trying to get this message out that, how AI is rapidly changing and how you could be changing with AI and what all you could be doing to achieve that goal. And I think today everybody should have that goal that they need to run along AI. They can no longer push AI.
Yes, you cannot really compete against. You cannot position yourself against AI. That is absolutely the biggest mistake we can do. It is about leveraging AI. How do you become better than you were 1 year ago by leveraging AI? And I think what most people are oblivious as to right now, because things are moving so fast. Before, perhaps between leaps of progress, you had 7 years in between.
Yeah.
But now it's more like days or weeks in between sometimes. So it is extremely difficult to keep up with all that is happening. Even I check what's going on every single day. Even I feel like I'm behind.
Yeah.
So if you end up viewing this video, I would say, do not compete against AI. You probably don't even realize what you don't know that is now possible to do. Your goal should be to reduce that gap between what you actually know that it can do and what it actually already can do as fast as possible. Close that gap as fast as possible. How? By being hands-on, by actually experimenting things.
Yeah.
You cannot expect the employer that you have to give you the opportunity to have exposure to that. You need to seek it yourself. Forget certificates. We are past that.
Yeah.
They're
Way past.
worthless. Absolutely worthless. What you actually need is actually being hands-on and find out what is the capabilities that he has, how to use those capabilities, and then immediately, without even making the effort, you will realize, oh, but I can use this for this purpose. Oh, I can use that for that purpose. You start to match capabilities to use cases to your job. And the faster you can automate your own job, the more leverage you will have, not less. If you think that, oh, if I implement this, I automate this process, my job will become redundant, you are making a mistake. Because as I said at the start of this podcast, the studies that are coming out are saying that organizations that are implementing AI are growing headcount, not reducing headcount. So if you are holding AI back from your organization because you are afraid to be replaced, what will probably happen is what you are afraid of. You'll be replaced by someone else
who knows AI.
We use AI. We can actually automate that process. So you have to absolutely look at the ways to automate your own job. The sooner you do it, the better for you, not the worse for you.
Absolutely.
Because it will create value, and the value that you bring to the organization will increase. Therefore, your responsibility will increase. Therefore, the organization look at you as someone that can implement those things, instead of being frustrated that they want to implement those things and they don't have the people capable of doing that.
No, that is absolutely true.
So I would say the best way to reposition yourself to benefit from AI, to leverage your career, to grow your career, is not to position against AI, not to be a agent of resistance towards AI, is actually to be the agent of enablement.
Yeah.
To enable AI to be implemented, to learn how to automate your own job as fast as you possibly can, to show the organization leadership that you actually have those capabilities. At that point, you'll become unreplaceable. Unreplaceable. And you can ask whatever. No, there'll be promotions, there'll be raises, there will be whatever you want. But that being said, if you do not leverage AI, if you cannot leverage and understand this is what I can use it for, this is what it can already do, because like I said, until last year, the AI utilization was, I ask how to, it tells me how to, I have to do it.
Yeah.
Or, okay, I ask it to do a template for a contract, and it will do it. Fair enough. But nowadays, what it can do is it can connect to your computer files, it can connect to your Google Sheets, to your spreadsheets, whatever you are using, right? It can actually do the work for you. It can actually iterate that work to perfection or close to, right? Better than any human being would be able to do.
In one go.
In one go or in loops. And either way, the most important thing is it can work towards goals. I think that is the most important thing, that can autonomously work towards goals. And you have to find out how that works. And it is not difficult, by the way. The moment you install Claude to work on your system, and you give it a goal and you see it work, you realize, okay, this is an entire different level here. Now we have crossed into a different world where I say, I want you to achieve this goal. This is how the plan is to achieve that goal, which it can also help you plan, by the way. And then it creates automations to carry on working towards that goal, even when you're sleeping, which is absolutely incredible. So, in my opinion, if you want to reposition towards this new age of AI, learn how the capabilities work today, install the systems, manipulate those systems, see what it can do, and automatically when you're during that process of discovery, you will discover what it can do to help you automate your own job. And you should automate your own job. You will not be replaced by AI. You'll be leveraging AI. You become unreplaceable.
Yes, I totally agree with that. And with that, we come to an end of another episode. This was a great chat, Lewis. And I think a lot of our audience also has these doubts about their careers, and this really helps understand how they could be leveraging or how they could be moving with AI, which is exactly like, what helped me as well advance in my career. So thank you again for this chat this afternoon, and it has been a great honor to always have these discussions with you. It helps me to learn a lot, and I hope it helps our audience as well. Let us know if you have any questions that you would like us to answer. Drop a comment, drop us a message, and we are here to support you.
And don't forget to follow and subscribe for more content.